Alrighty, people. This guy, he's a chart analysis, stock analysis person. He's got some good MULN stuff. I don't know a lot of this terminology, like STO, CHR, SI, like obviously the RSI, but stock RSI, I don't know. I'm sure it means something, and I obviously, if somebody wanted to show me what it meant, I could learn it really quick, but I don't care about none of this. But if you are a trader, if you are a serious investor and you understand all this stuff, I'm sure it makes a good argument, because I know that the pressure built on MULN is a rare scenario, and every time this type of pressure and price action happen, we always take off. So I'm more of a big picture kind of guy. I don't care about the details when I know I'm right. Like if I was still like wondering if I was right, I would absolutely be learning and trying to figure this out. But I'm not trying to be a stock trader. I'm trying to squeeze MULN all the way up. But anyways, what I want to talk about real quick is about MULN dilution, MULN dilution, MULN free float, MULN outstanding shares. And this guy, and then also voting, and the voting for more dilution on July 26th. Now, obviously, we're definitely going to squeeze before July 26th, and so they pay people like this guy to go out into the world and make people worried that, like, if it doesn't squeeze by July 26th, they lose their investment, and for some reason that might make them sell before July 26th. Like, I can't imagine that actually happening, but some people are pretty dumb, and so if they're paying people to do it, I imagine he gets results, is what I'll say. Because he spends all of his time on Reddit and stock twits, and all he does is rag on MULN. He says he doesn't have a position in MULN, and every time he posts something, it's always the negative about MULN. Anyways, he's claiming that MULN has the voting power as executives, and that we don't have the right to vote no on dilution. And it says, to our knowledge, except as otherwise noted below and subject to applicable community property laws, each person or entity named in the following table has the sole voting and investment power with respect to all shares that he or she or it beneficially owns, unless otherwise indicated, the address of each. Okay, so basically he's saying that is a definitive statement that with these shares they get a vote. So first off, if we go look at this voting, we got the I just want to see something real quick. Let me take a look at it real quick. I mean, he makes such a bad argument. Like, I can't even waste time on him, so I just make fun of him and call him names. But basically, this is saying that the executives own 149,761,409 shares, and they have and that yellow statement says that they have the right to use voting power for those. Well, the outstanding shares is 477 million shares up to date, but like that doesn't include since June 9th. So we're about to get a new dilution announcement. There's 500 million common shares that could ever dilute, and then there's 55 million preferred shares. So I think we could technically get to 555 million float, which would be 100% of all outstanding shares, and there'd be no shares left for them to ever dilute again. But I don't think we'll get that high before we squeeze. I think we're squeezing very soon. Anyways, he's trying to say that because they have 150 million of voting power, if they all vote yes, then we'll lose. Well, first of all, there's another statement in this proxy or in this filing that says that if you don't vote yes or no and you fill out the proxy and send it to them, they will vote yes or no for you. But this same guy keeps interpreting that to mean that if you don't vote yes or no and you don't sign a proxy, then they're also allowed to vote for you. False, fake news. That is not how the stock market works. You bought that stock. You have the right to vote with that stock. If you don't vote, it's automatic no. That is law of the land. Now, this is the same thing. David Mickery, it shows 148 million shares. Well, if you go and you look at David Mickery's ownership, it's only 7 million shares. Every time David Mickery has bought or sold a share, we got an announcement within 24 or 48 hours. They are required to report as executives 24 hours anytime they, or 48 hours anytime they sell or buy. And so how does he have 148 million shares now? And why didn't we get an update about it? Because this filing is from June 9th. Well, the answer is he doesn't have 148 million shares. Somebody has to take ownership of the shares, which was him, before they dilute the shares. And so they're showing you the shares before they diluted. But the funny thing is, if you take the 150 million shares that they got, you take the other 50 million shares that the banks and everybody been buying in with, that puts you at 200 million shares. In this same filing, they announced that we're 477 million shares, which means we own 377 million shares. So if at least 70% to 80% of the people vote no or don't vote at all, we automatically get a no for the dilution. So terrible argument there. I don't even know why I'm doing this, because we're squeezing before dilution, but fuck, man, this pisses me off. Oh, man. So if we go again, hold on. What was the next thing he posted? Okay, here's the proxy that they want you to fill out to allow you to vote for them. Obviously, you're not going to do that. Each stockholder's percentage of ownership following the table is based upon applicable following shares outstanding on record. So this is accurate for the day that they filed it. In the same filing, they announced that they got rid of all their warrant shares except for 1.1 million or some crap. And so they basically just reloaded the boat, and since June 9th, or it's actually June 2nd, because they only reported dilution since June 2nd, so a lot of this was written on June 2nd. But since June 2nd, like, they pulled it out for a day, maybe a week, however long it takes to dilute, honestly. And they're diluting it, and they're diluting it. And so the other law of the land is that if you buy a share, like, there's no filing they could write up that says we have the right to vote with your shares even if you buy it from us. There is no, like, law of the land. If you buy the stock, you get the share. You vote. You have the voting power. You own the company. It's the point of investing, to own a piece of the company. So, I mean, just nothing about this guy is serious. And I wish people would blow his shit up and tell him he's a piece of garbage. He talks a lot of crap on me. His name is like Gandalf or Candalf on Reddit. Total piece of garbage. Anyways, what else do I want to talk about? So on that same filing, we had an announcement that basically there's 477 million shares outstanding and there's 407 million public float. Basically meaning retail owns 407 million shares. Well, there's been a new announcement. So basically, most companies are still showing 332 million float, outstanding shares. I think even a smaller float. But a few of them update, and they never update without being right. Like, anytime they do update, it's because they're right, and the filing obviously supports this. But this is the first time that we've seen the free float shares increase without them giving a dilution announcement. And what that means is that some of those banks and different insiders are selling shares and diluting through the outstanding shares. So it's institutionals or whatever. They don't include it in the free float. And we've gone from 407 million to 442 million. But then Webull shows that we're actually at 459 million. So it's most likely accurate that Webull is right, and it's 459 million free float, which means we bought 42 million shares without them diluting, and they only had 80 million shares, CEOs, institutionals, everyone, 80 million shares combined. And so they can't have very many left, and they got to hold on to some of them, especially the executives. They can't sell everything and just give away their company. And so A lot of shares are gonna, like 40 million, probably gonna stay there by the time we squeeze, which means they got nothing left in there, and we are got to be on the last days of dilution. We should expect, if they're going to keep 40 million, that the free float will get announced at 515 million, and it should come with the dilution announcement from an SEC filing from MULN showing that the outstanding shares is around 550 million. All super bullish, all super exciting. Oh, I'm actually looking at this wrong. So Webull says, I was looking at the free float market cap at 459 million. The free float is saying 376 million shares. So Webull is a perfect example of one of the ones that have not updated the information. And so if we go down to Ortex, they have updated. So 442 million is accurate, and that means we bought 35 million since since June 2nd when they gave us the last update. Sometime nobody really has been tracking this, and I just saw that the free float, I saw the short interest, and I divided the short interest by the number of shares short, and it came out to a 442 million free float. And I was like, well, why did we get an announcement saying it's 407 million? So we hit somebody up, asked them to go get the Ortex and see what it says, and I was right. It was 442 million. So it's sometime since June 2nd, this is updated to 442 million. Nobody, like, I'm sure it was a week ago. Like, this just randomly popped into my head. That's very good news. This is the first time we've seen this go up without them announcing dilution, which means it's banks, it's institutionals that are selling. We like that, because that means, like, they got to be the last ones to sell before we squeeze. Yeah, guys, like, follow me, trade with me. We're going to buy lots of MULN stock. And as long as we get the no vote on dilution for July 26th, like, obviously my YouTube and my socials are going to blow up when MULN squeezes. And so I'm going to tell people, if they're thinking about investing in MULN, I'm going to tell people to wait. Maybe. I mean, if it dips hard enough and I say, like, it's a good time to buy shares, I might announce that. But, like, we got to win that no vote on July 26th for MULN to last past that. If we vote yes on dilution, MULN becomes a dead stock. Like, I'd rather be an AMC than MULN, and I think AMC's going to $5 if we give them 2 billion shares. That's just nonsense. And I really don't even think they expect to get it. I think they announced the 2 billion shares to scare people away from investing in MULN. But obviously, if you know about the voting, none of that matters. So, anything else? I feel like I nailed that pretty good. Dilution, dilution, dilution. Yeah, hopefully we get an SEC filing tomorrow that announces dilution. As soon as we get it, if it's a green day, same day we get dilution, we know it's the last dilution, and you know you're in the squeeze, no matter what. So, hopefully we squeeze before we even get the announcement, but I doubt it. Alright, people, good luck.